Welcome to the channel. In this episode I would like to present how is Immortal really doing right now, because it seems to me that the channels responsible for the accurate presentation of information are exaggerating the situation, and I want to draw attention here that I respect that everyone has the right to their own opinion. However, when making them public, we also have the right to verify them, especially if they proudly call themselves the only professional Immortal content creators left. So let's start with the indisputable facts. Google Trends will help us with this. We will find out here how popular the game is at the moment. Let's start from the very beginning. It's around May 2022, a time of Immortal's prosperity, all-time high. That is, in fact, a short period of the greatest interest in the game. As in almost every game, this period does not last long and the traffic decreases quickly. But even then, the first videos of our so-called professional creators appeared, which were titled that this is the end of Immortal. In fact, it was a simple trick to get views, because at the time a vast majority of people were still enjoying the game. I don't think anyone really believed that the game was about to end all of a sudden. But it is worth mentioning that viewers became more demanding, so the time of trivial content was really ending. But for now, let's move on to the last year, which better illustrates the decrease in Immortal traffic. And it must be said here that the introduction of the new class caused a temporary uptrend of interest. But interest has now fallen down to its previous level. There is no indication that this trend will not continue to decline, so right now interest in Immortal is at its worst. And there are definite reasons why Day 1 veterans are leaving the game. Honestly, I have never seen so many bored and disappointed people on my channel. It is worth saying here that these are not new players. These are people who know the game very well and have been playing it for a long time. For this reason, I do not understand the opinion that the game is at its best when it is obvious that it is not. And I will point it out again that everyone can have an opinion, but such opinions are voiced by the channels that belong to the partner program. So we can assume here that such an opinion has a very real meaning in the further fate of the game, because what channels are the link between the community and the developers, so partner program channel should try to present the situation as it really is. However, in my opinion, they only care about their own interest and that they temporarily achieve better results when they've been complaining all year about the game, and suddenly they change their minds when the game does not provide any reason for that. The general increase in views is due to the fact that one of the big channels, who respected Immortal's community so much and willingly shared his very personal life experiences, just one day left us without saying a word. Fortunately, we have one more channel of this type left, so remember not to look any further, just in case to not find channels that do a pretty good job for this game, share extremely valuable information, and on top of that they actually playing the game. Many of these channels never got any revenue, or simply the income was disproportionate to the work done. So don't get me wrong, I understand the idea of making money on YouTube, but shouldn't they just be ashamed of the statements they make? Personally, I would be. although ultimately it's up to people who they want to watch and whether they believe in their so-called honesty. With all of that being said, Immortal has not changed significantly over the past year, and that's its biggest problem. There are quite a few new things added to the game, so except it was introduced too late, we can consider it good change. However, it's hard to enjoy new content when you're forced to do exactly the same things every day for over a year now. So based on my experience, people just get sick when it comes to do daily quest-like contracts. So in the first place, if you're creating a mechanic that forces people to do certain things, at least let people have fun with it. Unfortunately, channels that want to be seen as authorities for some reason don't see this issue, or simply they do not want to see it. So if people with such a level of competence speak as a community, then I won't even put a question mark here. I suppose everyone can guess what fate awaits this game. Here it is worth mentioning the things that have been recently changed. For example, new Paragon level system. Who designed it, and how could anyone think it would be a good solution? After all, it took away any sense of the grind. You might as well completely remove the character's level in the game and assign a server level to everyone. The effect will be practically the same. At least we won't have to mess with receiving points from the battle pass. Another thing are the essences, or rather the lack of them. After the introduction of Blood Knight, we should get an update with essences for other class, because at the moment, most of the essences just seem weak compared to the ones that the Blood Knight has, although in this case we will definitely get them. We just have to wait until more people decide to leave the game. It will probably be the right time for a new update. I don't even want to mention a potential incoming paywall here, since I have made whole video about this topic. But I believe this is a good place to quote the most interesting comments. In this case, I'd like to refer to user Next Big Things. I agree that some videos are outdated, but you can't blame YouTubers for developers not publishing detailed patch notes. No one has the opportunity to check the same things every day just because someone decided to change something without knowing us about it. So here you should ask the developers why they practice such a thing. Here we have an example of an interesting case. Note that the video is about the future, which is something that may appear on Inferno 3 or higher, and people describe how well they are doing. Nobody asked for that, you completely ignoring the practices of developer. In fact, I'm not surprised that they have such practices, since they are aimed at people who do not think rationally and just flexing themselves in front of others. Easy targets. Fortunately, the vast majority understand the situation well, so I hope that the opinion of these people will be noticed and taken into account. This viewer also presented an interesting perspective. Although in my humble opinion, it's hard to feel better than players playing for free. I'm not saying that playing video games is a particularly ambitious activity, but if you feel better just because you are winning against much weaker opponents, then there is definitely something wrong with you. And finally, my favorite comment. It's pretty ridiculous because I've never asked for anyone's trust. You get things like that over time. So my answer is definitely no, you should not trust me. I am only sharing my opinion and the knowledge I have gained. But I accept the possibility that I may be wrong. That's why you have an organ in your head, colloquially called the brain, instead of the thread that holds the ears in place. This allows you to get acquainted with different views, but you should think for yourself, and at the end of the day it's up to you whether you consider it trustworthy or not. Eventually your decision is not my business. But as always, thanks for watching.